blast of war blows in your ears, then imitate the action of the tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with a hard-favored rage.
It's a man's game tonight now, you know that. Here we come. It's a man's game now.
Are you afraid?
Has issued a tornado warning for.
Here it comes! From downtown!
No need for warnings. The storm is already here. Welcome, everyone, to part 2 of the Penalty Box's F3 Summer Shows. We're coming to you live on KFHS Radio here in Hays, Kansas, and are currently being filmed, which you can later see this week on the Tiger Media Network's YouTube page. Say hi to the cameras, Ryan. You got the giggles? All right.
I wasn't expecting that.
I'm Boomer Sabata, and I'm here with the 6'3" welterweight, Ryan Sabata. How you doing?
Good.
Good?
Good.
Good. A little sore throat, but you're fighting through it?
Yeah.
You're doing good? All right. Just like in part 1, we are bringing a new segment called Swipe Left or Right. I'll rattle off some factoids from around the sports globe, and we'll swipe left if we disagree, or swipe right if we agree. Reference to a popular app for the young folks all over the world. So, farmersonly.com.
Yep.
All right, swipe left or right. Some of the most active teams at the MLB trade deadline. The Brewers, are you swiping left or right on what they did at the deadline?
I'm going to have to swipe left on the Brewers. I mean, when I look at it, all they did was stack up on the infield. You look at third base, they got Mike Moustakas from the Royals. Power bat, yeah, in a championship team. That's a really good addition. But you had Travis Shaw there. Why'd you get another third baseman? Well, the idea is to move Shaw to second. Okay, cool. So we'll move him to second. You got Arcia at shortstop. He's struggling so far this year. So then at second you have Travis Shaw. But wait a minute. Let's get Jonathan Scope, too, and see if he can play short. He's a 30 home run guy, and he's going to be playing short. So, and then at first base, you have Jesus Aguilar and Eric Timms and Ryan Braun. The thing that they didn't need any more bats. Their lineup 1 to 9 outside of catcher is pretty damn good. You look at the rotation, that's the problem. Is you have Chase Anderson, who's not a terrible arm, but he's not an ace. Next you have Jhoulys Chachin, Junior Guerra, Wade Miley. Wow. If Wade Miley is in your rotation, you ain't winning a chip. That's just how it is. And their bullpen's not terrible. It's got Josh Hader and Jeffress, but it's not deep as, say, a Yankees or a 2015 Royals bullpen. So I like the moves. The moves aren't terrible. It strengthens the offense, but
a little over-aggressive on the offensive side.
Yeah, it doesn't help the World Series chances.
All right, how about the Dodgers? You going to swipe left or right of what they did at the deadline?
I'm swiping right for the Dodgers.
I'm also going to swipe right for them.
Just because they were already the best team in the West before the deadline, or even before the month, I feel like. And, I mean, all they did was go out and get Manny Machado and Brian Dozier to strengthen that infield with Chris Taylor and Max Muncy manning the other two positions there. Jock Peterson, Bellinger, and Puig and right. Kemp, of course, is having a career year. Mm-hmm. And their rotation, Kershaw, Wood, Maeda, Buehler, Hill. And that doesn't even account for the injuries they've had. They've had Tony Cingrani, Josh Fields, Yimi Garcia, all bullpen arms right there. Ross Stripling, who's having a really good year, and Justin Turner's still out. So it's a really good team that only got stronger. Offensively, it should be able to keep up and get them far in the playoffs.
Yeah. I feel they're different from the Brewers because the Brewers a little too aggressive offensively, maybe. The Dodgers, they just got the right pieces because Corey Seager's out for the year.
Yeah. Let's
get the best shortstop in the majors and Manny Machado, have him for half a season, and then maybe we'll see how it goes in the offseason. But you have Corey Seager anyway, so
yeah,
it works out either way. How about the Yankees? You're wearing your backwards Yankee hat, or you got to crack your knuckles? You got something to say, or do you agree with this and swiping right?
I'm swiping right just because they didn't do anything stupid, like go out and overpay for a Chris Archer or someone like that. So I'm glad they didn't get really ambitious. J.A. Happ is probably the best pitcher we could have gotten. I mean, unless we were going to... I mean, you see what the Pirates gave up for Chris Archer and 2 former top 10 prospects.
Yeah.
It's not something me personally I'm comfortable giving away at this point, just because we're still a young team. We still have some development. This isn't the only year we're going to be good. The window's not closing. So they didn't get too crazy. They brought in J.A. Happ to kind of solidify that rotation. And then also got another really good lefty bullpen arm in Zach Britton to replace the god-awful Chasen Shreve. So we didn't get crazy because of the Aaron Judge injury. We didn't reach for a pitcher like we did last year in Sonny Gray. So I consider it a win.
Yeah. The one detractor that we've heard, especially this weekend, because we know a big Red Sox fan. We know them quite personally. The main detractor from that was they said that you have too many pitchers now in your bullpen.
No.
And see that I don't know if that was jealousy or what, but in my opinion, and it's not just the opinion of me, it's the opinion of baseball minds all over the world, you can't have too many reliable arms in the bullpen, especially in the postseason, especially when you're going to have to get past the Red Sox, especially when you're going to have to get past the Astros. Am I right? Am I on the same wavelength as you right now?
Well, I mean, the idea is that the stronger our bullpen is, the less strain it's going to put on the rotation come playoff time. Because the only real consistent pitcher we have is Severino. And that's comfortable for me in a wild card game to have him out there. We saw it last year. But, I mean, you never know what you're going to get out of Tanaka. CC, he's consistent, but he's not going to go 7-8 innings. He's going to get you 5 in a playoff game. Sonny Gray, I'd honestly just prefer to not have him in there. But there's no one...
Just want him to go away.
Yeah, with Jordan Montgomery out for the time being, for the next year, he'll have to do... Then J.A. Happ to round it out.
All right, and number 2 for the swipe left or right segment. Former Dallas wide receiver Des Bryant lashing out at the Cowboys in a blistering Twitter rant. I mean, that was an all-timer. That was a shoot.
Yeah, it was.
That was some good stuff. Oh my goodness. So you swiping left or right on what Des Bryant was doing on Twitter?
I swipe right for us because it was entertaining.
Okay.
Yeah, you got our money's worth out of it, but it's going to be a left for him because it doesn't help his chances of signing with a team, especially a contending team, because he's going to rile some feathers. He's going to get under some skin in a team that's contending like a Patriots or a Falcons or, yeah, I mean, any team with playoff aspirations doesn't want to take that risk of signing a number 2 receiver that's just gonna create problems.
Mm-hmm.
So it hurts his chances. I'm seeing right now, Baltimore is the favorite again to get Des Bryant.
I thought Cleveland was the favorite.
Oh, it changed.
Oh,
that's why I got to keep up with the news. This is 4-hour-old news.
Well, you know what, Ryan? I was preparing for this show 4 hours ago.
Yeah,
I was preparing to make you look good. How does that sound?
No, I don't need your help.
All right. Well, anyway, the Baltimore is the favorites for Des Bryant.
Yeah.
Do you think that will affect... Because the Ravens aren't necessarily contenders. I mean, they can probably do some damage in their division. Does that damage him signing with a team like the Ravens?
Yeah, because the Ravens are already going to have their hands full. I mean, and the news is... This news post states the Twitter rant, so it clearly hasn't scared away the Ravens. But from my perspective, I think it doesn't help the Ravens' perspective just because you're already going to have a quarterback battle with Flacco and Lamar Jackson all year. That's already going to create problems. You don't want a receiver who's going to come in and possibly voice his opinion as to who he wants to be at quarterback. And the last thing you need is Des Bryant week 4 to come out and say, yeah, we need Lamar Jackson to start. Mm-hmm. Because, yeah, then the fans just, they're everywhere. Yeah. Twitter goes crazy.
Joe Flacco becomes ultimate heel of Baltimore.
And then the GM gets fired. And, yeah, if Baltimore signs Dez, they might finish last in the division.
I heard once Dez was on the market that he might go to the Patriots. Probably the reason why they probably haven't signed him is because of his issues, his past issues, and probably this Twitter rant doesn't help. Bill Belichick doesn't really seem like the type of person to want to handle that, and I don't think Tom Brady really. You can't really make a heel out of Tom Brady in New England. I think that's one of the most impossible things to do in sports.
Yeah,
is to make Tom Brady look like the bad guy. So
well, in Boston,
well, yeah,
everywhere
that's
else in the country.
That's why I said New England. In New England,
everyone else in the country.
Yeah,
that's already the general consensus.
Yeah. All right, number 3 for the swipe left or right segment. Kawhi Leonard being traded to the Raptors for a 2019 first-round pick. Center named Jacob. I'm not going to even try to say his last name. Pirtle.
There's an R in there, I guess.
Okay, Jacob Pirtle and 4-time All-Star DeMar DeRozan. Swipe left or right?
Swipe right for the Spurs, left for Toronto.
Yep. Hard left.
Yeah.
Hard left. Like once you see it, that's a hard left for Toronto.
Yeah. That's
just
the Spurs. Essentially, you were looking at the packages. They wanted multiple young players and picks out of the Lakers. They're still saying Kawhi is going to LA at the end of the season. It's been reported. That was reported today. So the fact that Toronto was willing to give away their cornerstone player over the last half decade
since Vince Carter.
Yeah. And
or maybe Chris Bosh.
On top of, the 2019 pick doesn't matter. Toronto will be in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to be a high pick. And Jakob Poeltl he's a center in today's game. So he'll best be a
rebounds and defense. Yeah. That's about it.
But yeah, the Raptors just did DeRozan dirty by promising him he's not leaving. And I don't know what's going on in Toronto. The fact they feel like after a number 1 seed, a number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference isn't anything to scoff at, especially when you beat out LeBron, Boston, and the Sixers. But they fire their coach, they trade their best player, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
why they felt like they had to go complete 180 on us.
If I was a Raptors fan, I'd be pissed. But luckily, I'm not a Raptors fan, so. But yeah, I would still swipe hard left for what they did to DeMar DeRozan. I don't know. Is his contract up at the end of the season?
No, he's still got 3 more years.
He's still got. Okay, yeah. So that's even worse.
Yeah.
Somebody who doesn't. I mean, even when he first got traded to Toronto, he didn't want to be there. He obviously didn't want to be in Toronto. Kawhi Leonard didn't want to be in Toronto.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's tough.
It's a tough trade.
That's tough. That is tough. But at least DeMar will be under Pop for a while, so that's good. That will be a good experience. So
I don't know. Kawhi didn't like it too much.
Oh well, Kawhi's. I'll admit, Kawhi's been a little bit of a diva this offseason, so I could see why he wouldn't be on Pop's good side. MLB talk. Can the trade deadline really be the catalyst for a future World Series champion?
Yes, and it's not really a question. I think
I put it as a question,
and I'm saying it's not a question. I'm saying it's facts.
There's a question mark at the end.
Saying it's facts.
Okay.
Let's look at the last 3 years. And I mean, we could keep going as far back as we want to, but last year, Houston Astros, World Series champions. You know who they got?
Justin
between both deadlines. Between the 31st of July and 31st of August, they got Justin Verlander, Cameron Maybin, and Tyler Clippard. And Francisco Liriano. So they strengthened their pen and got,
reliable arms.
Cy Young caliber arm.
Yeah.
And they won the title. And Verlander was, I don't know if he won the World Series or the playoff MVP, but sure pitched like he could have. So that was last year. 2 years ago, we had the Cubs. Cubs go and get Mike Montgomery, bullpen arm, Aroldis Chapman. And he played a pivotal role for them in the playoffs as well. Hefty price, but it paid off. They got that World Series. And 2015, the Royals. Royals go out and trade for Johnny Cueto and Ben Zobrist, both of whom very pivotal parts of their championship teams. And the list goes on and on. The fact is teams that want to keep getting good. Oh yeah, and also, did you know who was a part of that Ben Zobrist deal?
No.
Ben Zobrist came from Oakland to Kansas City.
Okay.
Only the ace of the Oakland A's rotation, Sean Manaea. Yep.
Oopsie daisy.
Yeah. I just noticed that right now. But yeah, so teams that want to go out and they fix the problems they have, win the championship. Teams like Milwaukee, who we just talked about, who focus more on depth and offensive like firepower instead of filling the holes that they need to fill, those teams usually end up, ALDS elimination, ALCS. But the teams that really plan on winning and teams that do already have a really good core around them will find a way to bring in the last remaining pieces to round it out.
Which team do you think that's going to be this year?
We have predictions coming up.
Okay.
We'll get to it.
All right. Okay, this question, I wrote down my answer before last evening's competition between two teams. So, who suffered the most from the deadline?
At first I had Baltimore and Tampa. It's the worst, but after last night, it's got to be New York.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
See, here's the thing. I had the Nationals. This was before the game. This was before the 25-4 game because they didn't do anything. That's what I thought was their concern. I thought that they were kind of being a little insane, like technically, like definition of insanity. They were trying to use the same thing over and over again and expect the same results. Like apparently the GM still believes in the crew that he's got, and well, he probably should after last night's game. So I thought that the fact that they didn't do anything was because they're at 500 or I think 2 games above 500 at this point. So. And having to compete with the Braves and Phillies, I was like, you got to make a move. But you were right. I agree with you. I think the Mets are the ones who suffered the most, obviously.
Yeah, and it wasn't even because of any trades. It's just last night's game really put a spotlight on the fact that the Mets are a skeleton.
Yeah,
they've literally hit rock bottom. I don't think there's any other way to put it. There's no hope for the franchise. I mean, let's look at the depth chart. You have Jacob deGrom, who's pitching Cy Young caliber. Problem is, his value is never going to be higher than it was yesterday. So, I mean, if you trade him at the end of the year, you might have lost a prospect, a top 15 prospect in someone's organization, just because you decide to hold on to him for another half year. You have Syndergaard, who's a trade candidate for next year. Wheeler, Mats, Vargas, all expendable. And if your starting lineup consists of Devin Mesoraco and Jose Bautista and Austin Jackson.
Mesoraco's getting it done. He's a bull behind the plate, man. Have you seen the shots that he's taken?
I've seen him play or not play over the last few years.
Hey, he's playing consistently for the Mets now. I'll defend Mesoraco. Everything else, I'm just like, okay.
Okay, then Jose Bautista and Austin Jackson. And, I mean, geez, Wilmer Flores is the best player in that front 9, or in that 1 through 9. Injuries have played a problem. Jay Bruce, Todd Frazier, Cespedes, Darno, and Lagares are all on the DL. So it's not all just lack of talent. You have those 5, it's a better team. But it's not even just the major league level that's like pitiful. You also look at their farm system, and there's not a whole lot of hope. Their number 1 prospect is a speed guy. He's hitting Andres Jimenez. I'm sure you know him. He's hitting 281.
What about Peter Alonso?
I'm just looking at MLB.com, son.
Come on, man.
Just looking. Jimenez is the number 1 prospect. So that's who I go through first. He's hitting 281, and he's got 31 steals. But Billy Hamilton also steals a lot of bases, too, and he plays in Cincinnati. And look how good that's doing for him. On top of the fact you already have a speed guy at shortstop anyway, in Ahmed Rosario, who can't hit for average. Peter Alonso is number 2. He's going to be an interesting one to watch going forward. Maybe like a poor man's Joey Gallo. But
hey, I'll take it.
I mean,
I am a poor man.
You've got 2 one-dimensional players, essentially, and Jimenez and Alonso, not going to provide any major uptick in wins going forward, unless something changes. Baseball's a weird sport, as evidence of last night.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Mets, I'm glad I'm not on that side of New York.
All right. So the next question is, what can be done to turn the Nationals around post-deadline? Reminder to the cameras. I wrote this question down before last night's competition. So
more 25-4 wins.
Yeah, I think that helps.
Yeah,
that helps. Beating the holy hell out of the Mets helps.
Playing the Mets every game also would help.
Having to force them to put Jose Reyes on the mound, that helps.
Yeah.
But Mets aside, we're done talking about the Mets right now. How do you think they'd be able to get past the Braves and the Phillies?
Consistent Bryce Harper. He's hitting a lot of home runs this year, driving in some runs, but he's not getting on base as much, nor is he really putting the ball in the gaps as much as he has in past years. So if you get your star player to start playing at a star level, that'll hopefully spark something within the organization. And then also Strasburg has to come back healthy. Yeah, I mean, Scherzer can only do so much in that. I mean, he's out there 1 in every 5 games. You need Strasburg out there healthy and winning games in order to come back in this division, because that's one thing Atlanta and Philly don't have is a good back-to-back like ace in their rotation. Philly's got Aaron Nola, but the rest aren't as superior as Aaron Nola. And then the Braves have a bunch of just young arms that are overperforming. So the Nationals have that advantage if they are to make the playoffs, that they have 2 bona fide aces going in 5-game series. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold sets up.
All right. The Phillies made some pretty good transactions at the trade deadline. So, I mean, if the Nationals are going to make the playoffs, I think they'll have to do it as a wild card team. I think they're too far behind the Phillies at this point. I think they could beat the Braves just because the Braves are so young, and usually young teams will take a dip in August and September. So I think that the hope that the Nationals have is making it to the wild card, because I don't think they'll be able to catch the Phillies. But if they play the Marlins and another team in that division, I think that they'll get some easy wins out of that. So, you know what I'm saying?
The Nationals are only 4.5 back. Well, I guess 5 back in the division.
But
so
I think even with the acquisitions that the Phillies made, the Phillies look better after the deadline than the Braves do.
They're not 42 games back like Baltimore is.
Well, no, we're not talking about Baltimore.
So I mean, this is also a team that has a ton of talent, just needs to turn it around.
Okay, all right. Is the legend Bartolo Colon legendary enough to be a Hall of Famer? I think he pitched last night, didn't he? Or maybe the night before.
I don't know.
He pitched recently.
Follow Texas.
So is Bartolo Colon a Hall of Famer?
No, he's not. He's got 245 wins, 186 losses, 46.3 WAR. That's not awful, but his career WAR or his career ERA is 4.09,
yeah.
And he started almost 600 games. So I would hope you'd be able to get 245 wins out of those. I mean, if you go to Baseball Reference, you can go through the stats. His Hall of Fame index is below what the average is. All of his numbers just come out to just being short, unfortunately. Unless he becomes a coach and wins a World Series or 2. Then maybe.
The world's greatest pitching coach.
Yeah.
Can you imagine every time there's a pitching change, just, oh, here comes Bart. Here comes Bart. He's making a pitching change. Oh my goodness. That'd be some good stuff. Yeah, I agree with you. I think his ERA is just too high to put him in the Hall, which is unfortunate. A lot of good memories with him on the mound. We saw him in person way back in the day
with this posse.
Yep. Yeah, that was some great stuff. All right. Last time we had a MLB playoff predictions, but since it's post-deadline, baseball changes almost every day, basically. We're going to do it again. So we're going to start with the AL wild card. Who do you have in that game?
I have the Yankees and Mariners.
Okay, I also have the Yankees and Mariners in that one. So you have the 1 seed being the Red Sox, I assume?
Yes.
Okay, so who do you have in the National League wild card?
I have Arizona and Philadelphia.
Ooh, Arizona and Philadelphia. See, I have Arizona, but I have Chicago. Chicago making it in the wild card. I have the Brewers winning the division.
Okay.
So, all right, so let's start with the ALDS. Red Sox and Yankees. Who do you have winning that one? All I know is I'm looking at this prediction. If it does come true, this will be one of the best postseasons in recent memory. And we've had some juicy ones. That's a fact.
I got New York in that one.
I also have New York.
Nothing's really changed in the 2 weeks between the two teams.
What about in the ALDS? Do you have Houston, Cleveland, I assume?
Yes.
Okay. Who do you have winning that one?
I have Houston.
Houston. All right. So we're both on the same wavelength for the ALCS. We have the Yankees and Houston. So for the NLDS, you have Dodgers as a 1.
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
And you have them going up against who?
Arizona.
Arizona? Okay. Okay, so can we just I have LA versus the Cubs, but we both have the Dodgers advancing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just throw that out of the way and avoid the confusion. So LA advances to the NLCS, and I have Milwaukee and Philadelphia in the NLDS.
I have Chicago and Atlanta.
Wow.
I don't think Milwaukee makes it.
You don't think they make it at all?
I don't.
Wow.
I
You
think
don't-
Atlanta's really exciting. I think Sean Newcomb's pitching really well. He could be an ace in the future. I think they can catch some fire with that youth and take the league by storm and win that division.
Interesting. Yeah, with Milwaukee, I think they made some good moves. Might be a little top heavy on offense, but I think their pitching is just good enough that they can get by, and that's why I think that they'll be able to win the division. Because the Cubs pitching, the names are better, but their stats wise, they're not any better.
No, it's a playoff team. I mean, perennial might be a bit much, but they won the World Series 2 years ago. They're like Bama. Regular season doesn't matter. Or North Carolina or the Patriots even. It's like the regular season doesn't matter. It's all those guys have playoff experience now. John Lester.
But I think that's they'll still make it to the playoffs. But I think the reason why they won't win the division is because what you're saying, because their regular season doesn't matter. Well, the Brewers are like, we think
but
it does.
the Brewers have Jolie Chachin and Wade Miley in their rotation.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
That is not a recipe for success.
But their lineup is. I think that they will just squeak by and be division champs. I'm not saying that they're going to blow Chicago out of the water, but I think they'll squeak by and be division champs. And they're going up against the Phillies in my NLDS, and I have LA and Milwaukee in the NLCS. I'm throwing all my chips in for the Brewers.
I've got LA Chicago.
LA Chicago. All right. So who do you have advancing in the ALCS? We both have the Yankees and Houston. Who do you have in that one?
I have the Yankees.
I also have the Yankees. Okay, so who do you have advancing to the World Series in the NLCS?
The Dodgers.
The Dodgers. Okay, so we both have the Yankees and the Dodgers.
In the World Series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So who do you have winning that?
I have the Yankees. Nothing's changed.
I have the Dodgers.
You changed.
I changed. I have the Dodgers. I think them acquiring Machado and having that postseason experience that you just talked about with the Cubs, they're going to be hungry. They're going to be hungry, and they're going to want to get that World Series title. And I think they'll be able to do that against the Yankees.
You look at the playoffs. Boston, New York series would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chicago, Atlanta would be fun. There's a lot of spicy matchups.
Mm-hmm. There are. Yeah, I get excited every time I look at this. It would be good. Like L.A. and the Cubs would be great. Milwaukee and the Phillies would be great.
Well, we've seen L.A. versus Chicago last year too,
But
that wasn't competitive
at
all.
It's always good.
I remember last year.
Yeah, I mean,
that was
good.
a brutal display.
It's one of those movies where a sequel comes out, you're like, oh, I'll see it. Might as well. It'll be decent. It won't be like Jigsaw. This year's LA versus Cubs will not be like Jigsaw. So I have the Dodgers winning the World Series, and you have your favorite Yankees. So that'll be some good stuff. Can't wait for the MLB postseason. All right, we're going to take a little bit of a break. We have some songs coming to you from Michael Bolton, Robert Tepper, T-Pain. Part 2 of the Penalty Boxes. Part 2 of the Penalty Boxes F3 Summer Shows. We'll be back after this music break. And welcome back, everyone, to part 2 of the Penalty Box's F3 Summer Shows. That was some of the best hits from Michael Bolton, Robert Tepper, and T-Pain. That is some good stuff, huh, Ryan?
It is,
Yeah,
yes.
Great stuff. All right, so During the break, we had a little bit of news come to us. So what's the news, Ryan? What's the news?
No, it was news. It was breaking news pretty much before the show, but I didn't get it in. But Urban Meyer has been placed on paid administrative leave.
Really?
Yes.
Really? That
is the beginning of the end for Urban Meyer.
What if I told you?
Yeah, the 30 for 30 on this is going to be phenomenal.
And I don't know exactly why he's been put on administrative leave. It has something to do with the fact that one of his coaches or something was involved in a domestic violence incident like 3 years ago.
Yes.
And he knew about it but didn't say anything.
Yes.
It's something like that. So
that is exactly what we know.
Anything else in the news? Anything in our neck of the woods, Ryan?
No, we did have a fan chime in to the show on break as well, claiming that Jake Arrieta.
The lines are full, just with full of people who just
how we got this one.
Yeah,
how we got this one through is a miracle.
The lines are full. Everyone just wants to get a piece of it. It's like the Paul Feinbaum show of the Midwest.
Yeah. But he let us know that he would take Jake Arrieta over Steven Strasburg. Now, I just wanted to address this before we moved on to football because I think that is asinine, in all honesty. Jake Arrieta, first actual good season, was in his age 28 year. He had a 2.53 ERA with 10-5. That was before his big year the next year, Cy Young MVP. The next 2 years, he made his only All-Star team in 2016, and then last year, Jake Arrieta. I don't know if I made that clear that I'm talking about Jake Arrieta. And then last year, not as good. And then this year, he's pitching about as well as he did last year. Whereas Steven Strasburg, last year, missed about 6 starts. Still finished third in the Cy Young. 204 Ks and 175 innings. He had the highest FIP, which is an important stat. It's one of those advanced sabermetrics.
Mm-hmm.
And he led the league in that. So I get Steven Strasburg has injury issues, but come October, on the mound, I'd want Steven Strasburg over Arrieta. Arrieta doesn't give you the Ks. He's also starting to show signs of digression or regression.
How old is he?
He's also 32.
32.
And Strasburg's 29. But when healthy, Steven Strasburg is easily the best pitcher out of those two.
And he'll be healthy come October.
Yeah, we've seen 3 good years out of Jake Arrieta, essentially. 2014, 2015, 2016. Last year was an average year, and then this year's kind of average as well. Steven Strasburg's been pitching in the major since 2010, has never posted an ERA higher than 3.6.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's 1,000 innings. That's over 1,000 innings. His career ERA is 3.13. Average strikeouts 10.5 per 9 in his career. So there you go, fans.
You just had to settle that. You had to squash the beef. From our agitated fans across the world.
Yeah.
So all right, you ready to get into college football talk?
Yes.
Okay. 3 players to watch in college football this year. Who do you have at your number 3?
Number 3, I have Shea Patterson.
Shea Patterson.
Michigan. Anyone who watched Michigan last year saw that they were 1 quarterback away from potentially being in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They had started 3 throughout the entire year, Korn, Speet, and Patterson. Speet's now in UCLA, and Korn's gone. So Patterson's going to have to step up. He looked like the better of the 3 anyway. So now with the Ohio State news developing, Penn State now without Saquon Barkley, it looks like the Big Ten, outside of, say, Michigan State and Wisconsin, if they can put together good years too, looks like Michigan has a chance to win that conference. So it's going to be on his shoulders, Shea Patterson. A lot of scouts have him possibly as a first-rounder in the draft. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Harbaugh can do in this now seemingly open conference.
For my number 3, 3 players to watch in college football this year, West Virginia quarterback Will Grier. Last season, 3,400 passing yards, 34 touchdowns. The only reason that wasn't really a bigger deal was because you had Mason Rudolph, you had Baker Mayfield, other quarterbacks putting up more impressive stats. It's still impressive what he was able to do last year. And Big 12 defenses are weak. They are as weak as a cup of coffee at 5 in the afternoon. It is bad. It's bad how how soft Big 12 defenses are. It's one of the reasons I throw my hat Saturday afternoons in the fall. So I definitely think that Will Grier will take that to his advantage, especially in a program like West Virginia, who will be able to utilize him the right way, like they did with Geno Smith. So I think Will Grier will have a big year. I think he'll lead the Big 12 in any major quarterback category. So that, yeah, I got Will Grier. Who do you have as your number 2?
I have Tua Tagovailoa. That's assuming he starts. I guess it's still not clear who's going to start come the season. Nick Saban's making it seem like he didn't create a quarterback controversy by pulling a starting quarterback in the national championship. But there is.
Come on, Saban.
Yeah,
Come on, Saban.
There is, yeah. And I think Tagovailoa will win. I don't think it's necessarily. I mean, I wouldn't say it's fair, or I wouldn't say it's unfair, just because it's college football, and that just sounds weak. But I didn't feel like Jalen Hurts deserves to lose his job. I mean, got him to the national championship, but I think Tagovailoa is going to be there multiple years. I think Saban's looking to build another dynasty, another short-term dynasty. Tagovailoa will be the guy to do it. And, I mean, the SEC is the SEC. That's football. That's big boy football.
Yeah,
so
that's a big league.
we'll see how he can step up to full-time duties outside of the grandest stage of college football. But it should be interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of people have him as a Heisman favorite.
Yeah, that was a little shocking. But Trevor Knight, I hope that this guy
Knight
does not turn out like – you remember Trevor Knight when he beat Alabama and all of a sudden he was a Heisman favorite? I hope that it doesn't work out the same way for this guy, because that was a bad season for an OU fan, was to watch the year after that Sugar Bowl victory. For my number 2 player to watch, Houston defensive tackle Ed Oliver. He's on most people's big boards. He's the number 1 prospect. 38.5 tackles for loss, 10.5 sacks in 2 seasons, which is, I mean, it's harder to do than people think it is, especially in the conference they're in that doesn't, I mean, they don't throw the ball a whole lot. They're not out in the pocket a whole lot, so there's not a whole lot of opportunities to really get the sacks. He has the tackles for loss because the conference that they're in is very run-oriented. So just the fact that he's number 1 on most people's draft boards would give you a reason to watch him.
It's fair.
So who's your number 1 player to watch?
It's my Heisman favorite, Khalil Tate.
He's my number 1 also.
He's
Arizona quarterback Khalil Tate.
He's more athletic somehow than Lamar Jackson. He's got an arm. He's playing in a Pac-12 that is like the Big 12, offensive oriented.
Let's chalk that on the board for penalty box schisms.
Orientated. It's an offensive oriented conference. Defenses, and I mean, especially USC losing Darnold and UCLA losing Josh Rosen means there's some spot at the top for a surprise team to make a move and possibly score a conference championship. And if you have the Heisman winner in Khalil Tate, it's possible that Arizona meets that fate.
I think the one issue for Arizona is I think they only have like 2 or 3 returning defensive starters. And you're going up against a Chip Kelly-led UCLA. Going up
not his players, though.
Well, not his players, but it's going to be his system. So it's going to be a little bit.
So it's his system and not his players.
That's
the recipe for disaster.
He's not going to do a full Eagles on this like he did. I think that he's a college coach, so yeah, I think that it'll be a little difficult to play UCLA. Maybe not as difficult as it might be in the near future. But I think the Pac-12 is kind of turning into a little bit of a Big 12, except for Stanford, and where defense is just kind of secondary. It's you focus more on just having a powerful offense. If we score more points, then we don't have to worry about our defense. Kind of that sort of philosophy.
Yeah.
So I think, given that, I think Khalil Tate's just going to have an outstanding year, and he's my Heisman pick also. It's kind of hard to pick against that. So, Power 5 champions. Who do you have winning the ACC?
ACC, I have Miami.
You have Miami.
These are early picks.
You have Miami.
We'll obviously go deeper.
You have
into
Miami going over Clemson.
Yeah. Miami was a young team last year.
When Clemson has the best defensive line possibly in history. We'll see how they perform. But on paper,
did Bama win the SEC last year?
No.
Okay.
But come on.
That's Alabama's the best dynasty we've ever seen.
Bama didn't have Kelly Bryant. Come on, man. You think Miami...
Are you saying Jalen Hurts / Tagovailoa is worse than Kelly Bryant?
I'm not saying it's worse. I'm just saying Kelly Bryant's more consistent.
I don't know.
I disagree with that.
Defense, Miami's defense is just as good.
Look at Clemson's defense. I would be shocked. I would be shocked if people could score more than 17 points on Clemson all year.
We'll see. I mean, we saw what Mark Richt did with those guys in 1 year. Well, 2, I guess. Or was last year Mark Richt's first year?
I'm not sure.
I think it was second. But yeah, Mark Richt turned that program around in a hurry. It's a new team. It's a hungry team. We've seen what they're capable of. Up until the last couple of weeks of the season, they were my number 2 team in the nation because they were undefeated.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know why that's so blasphemous.
Because Clemson looks so damn good on defense.
Kelly
Bryant's coming back.
We talked all last year about how Clemson was overrated. What happened?
Yeah, last year. This is a brand new year. This is a brand new year. Because they're
sold out. That's what you did.
I did not
sold out.
I did
to
not
the
sell
ESPN gods.
I did not sell
sold out.
Nope. I did not sell out. No, selling out would be saying that Bama's winning the ACC. That's selling out. Doesn't matter. Any other conference, Bama's going to win. That's the new rule. They will be college football conference champions. That's how we're going to do it. That would be selling out.
Oh, you didn't finish it.
What?
Roll Tide.
Oh, Roll Tide. Yeah, Roll Tide. But I just think the defensive line scares the living crap out of me. I think Kelly Bryant's going to be able to get it done. I don't know the exact names of the weapons they have in the backfield and who they have at receiver, but you know that they have them because it's Clemson. So and they're going to be great at linebacker because they're Clemson. I'm throwing my chips in it for Clemson, just because.
I'll remember that next year when it comes down to Clemson's.
Now, if it's like last year where there are obvious teams better than Clemson, and they're behind them in the rankings, then I'll gripe about it like we did last year. But I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm banking on Miami improving this year.
Big Ten, who do you have winning?
Michigan.
At least we agree on that one.
Yeah.
Especially with the recent news about Urban Meyer. I think that's just, before that I had Michigan winning because just too much uncertainty with the other teams.
Yeah, this defense got 1 year older. They lost 10 of their defensive starters last year. But even then.
And it was still a great defense.
Yeah, they still went 8-4 with that. So the fact that they're going to maintain most of that defense, top prospects throughout that defensive line. And hopefully Shea Patterson, as we mentioned earlier, is going to be a guy who can consistently put up points, let some of the pressure off of the defense so they're not getting strangled all game. Michigan definitely has a good shot.
And I think if Michigan has a decent offense, could probably get you 24, 28, maybe 35 points a game. I think that's enough. Just because of how good. Look at how good I'm a big fan of defense, especially in college. That's why I'm stunned that I'm still an OU fan at this point because their defense has just been so bad for so long. But I think especially in the Big Ten, you have a dominating defense, you're going to go far. That's why Wisconsin's always made it to the Big Ten championship. It's not because of Alex Hornibrook.
No,
it's because of their defense. So Big 12, who do you have winning the Big 12?
I really want to put Texas, just because I believe in Sam Ehlinger. Eventually will bring them to a Big 12 champion. I believe that. But this year I have to go OU.
All right.
They're the more finished product.
We can agree on that one too. Here's the thing. A lot of people are worried, Kyler Murray, he's replacing Baker Mayfield. What's going to happen? I saw Kyler Murray play for about maybe 9 minutes in the fourth quarter when they played at KU last year. And this guy's just an absolute speedster. He is probably the fastest player. Well, maybe Marquise Brown is the fastest. But Kyler Murray's the second fastest player on the team, and he's a quarterback. He's an athlete, and he's going to get it done that way. And in college football, you don't have to be a polished, pro-ready quarterback. And with Oklahoma and the way that they're going to do it, with Rodney Anderson and Trey Sermon and all of the other great weapons that they have at wide receiver with Marquise Brown and C.D. Lamb and all of that, I think they're going to win the Big 12, possibly make it to the college football playoff. But if that defense doesn't improve, then it's just going to be the same result.
Okay.
Boomer Center.
Hook 'em horns.
So that's it for the Big 12? You have anything else to say?
No. Oklahoma State lost Mason Rudolph. TCU is probably going to be the second best team.
What about West Virginia?
Middle of the road.
8-4?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Pac-12. This one should be easy.
Yep, Washington.
Yeah, it's Washington all the way. Jake Browning and Miles Gaskins. They've been playing there for 10 years, it seems like.
the only team that's doesn't have an abnormal amount of uncertainties.
Yeah, and here's the thing. 9 returning defensive starters. I don't know how good their defense was to begin with, but you return 9 of them. 9 of those returning starters.
Speed of V, but...
Yeah, that'll stink a little bit, but I think that they'll do some damage in the Pac-12. That's a fact. Anything else?
Arizona could make a move. Arizona State with Herm Edwards. That's going to be fun.
It'll be fun, but I don't know if it'll be necessarily good.
Yeah. It'll be entertaining.
All right, the SEC.
Vanderbilt.
No, come
Bama.
on. You
Bama.
do not have. Yeah, it's Bama. I was going to say, come on. That's one of the. Like, if you would have said Georgia, I probably would have gotten a little bit. What? But you say Vanderbilt. I'm like, okay, you're joking. You're joshing with me. So yeah, it's Bama, and I don't think we really have to say a whole lot.
Not at this
else.
point. No.
Yeah.
Not until week 6, probably.
All right. The Hall of Fame game is tomorrow, and that is it's spectacular. The Bears and the Ravens. So we're going to go into NFL talk now. That was my segue. Just to remind people to watch the Hall of Fame game tomorrow. Cook some chicken. Cook some barbecue. Have a good time. Watch some football that doesn't matter. Just have a good time, you know.
Sure.
So NFL talk. 3 teams to watch, not players. Teams.
Number 3, I have the Texans.
I also have the Texans at number 3.
See how Deshaun Watson fares in a full season, if he can get through a full season. That defense is still pretty good. J.J. Watt comes back healthy as well.
It's like statistically they weren't very good last year, but I think that was because they lost J.J. Watt. I think it will improve from last year.
They got Jadeveon Clowney in a walk year. He's going to put up 15 sacks probably. Will Fuller and Hopkins on the end backs are pretty good as well. That division's open. You got Deshaun Watson, who, when he was playing last year, it looked like Houston was a playoff team. There wasn't a question. It wasn't a question about whether Houston was going to win the division. It was how far they were going to go. But then they lost Watson, and we saw what they were like with Tom Savage. Watson really is. He's probably the most important player to his team in football right now, outside of maybe Brady and Rodgers. And that's saying a lot, considering he's only played 7 games. But
you just look at the difference. It's black and white.
Yeah. And, I mean, Indianapolis, Andrew Luck's missed a full year. We'll see how that goes. Tennessee, Mariota has injury problems too. And then Jacksonville. Then not a whole lot changed there.
Yeah.
Bortles just has to come out and be consistent, and then they'll take the division. But I got Houston. Houston as the team to watch.
Yep, they're my number 3 also. Your number 2.
You have Green Bay.
Green Bay. All right.
This is an important year.
The Green Bay Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, because if this year sucks, then I don't know how long Aaron Rodgers is going to be in Green Bay. We've already seen that the Packers seemingly, and for whatever reason, will not surround Aaron Rodgers with talent.
No.
They'd rather trade it for third-round picks. So I wouldn't be surprised.
You know what, Aaron? I know you're mad, but we got all these draft picks for next year.
Yeah, and that's a conversation they have with him every year because they keep trading him away.
Yeah.
I only say they're the team to watch. If they're the same Green Bay Packers they were before, Aaron Rodgers probably won't leave. But if they collapse and, say they don't make the playoffs, that could really alter the league if Aaron Rodgers decides he wants out of Green Bay. And that's why I think they're the team to watch.
I have the Browns at number 2, and I don't have them making it to the playoffs, but I think they are a team to watch. They will be a team under the spotlight. Won't be contenders yet, but I think they'll have some young, fast productivity. Their wide receiving crew doesn't look bad. Their defense doesn't look bad. Baker Mayfield's going to have a pretty good year. Little too early to say if he'll be rookie of the year. I don't want to jinx that. So I think it'll just be an interesting team to watch. I think the Steelers have that division in a stranglehold right now. The Ravens are getting there. I think that the Ravens might get things going a little bit faster than the Browns. It's a little bit too early to tell and see how that wide receiving crew will work in Cleveland. But I think it's just one of those teams. It's like the Bears last year. You watch them and you're just like, okay, we lose. As long as we look good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So who's your number one?
My number one is the Browns. I don't know how the Browns can't be number one. I mean, they bring in Jarvis Landry, Baker Mayfield, Carlos Hyde, Josh Gordon comes back. They bring in Denzel Ward to strengthen the secondary. You have the number one overall pick from last year, Myles Garrett, who's going to come out for his sophomore year. This is a completely new team. And Tyrod Taylor is going to be your starting quarterback at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
This offense can compete with anyone in the league. Anyone in the league. And just on paper. I mean, we haven't seen them play, but
that's why they're my number two, not my number one.
Their offense is better in Baltimore, better in Cincinnati, not better in Pittsburgh, better in Jacksonville. I mean, on paper, of course. Better in Tennessee, not as good as Houston. Better in Indianapolis, better in Denver, better in Oakland, better in LA. And, I mean, so I'd say they have the third or fourth best offense in the AFC.
On paper.
On paper. So that's why it's going to be interesting to watch.
I have the San Diego Chargers as my number one. Now, I'm not going to believe the hype. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, division champs. No, I'm not going to do that. But I think the fact that they came out of nowhere, went 9-3 in their last 12 games, I think that you need to be watching a team like this just to see if they can continue the hot streak that they ended last season on. Chiefs are going to be hard to get by. Broncos will be stubborn just because of their defense. Raiders, they won't do anything. So, yeah, I think the Chargers will be interesting. It'll be cool to kind of see what Phillip Rivers does. Melvin Gordon, their defense is pretty good, surprisingly. So, yeah, I think the Chargers, number one team to watch this year, could possibly make the postseason. I'm not going to say as division champs, but maybe as the wild card. And it'll be some good stuff coming out of that division. All right, division champs in the NFL.
Yes.
The AFC East.
Not even a question. New England.
Yeah, Patriots. Patriots, AFC East.
And what I think will be Tom Brady's last year.
Yeah, I think so. AFC North.
I have the Steelers.
Yep, I also have the Steelers.
The two easiest ones.
Yeah. AFC South.
I have Houston.
Ooh, you have Houston. I have the Jags.
I think Houston's offense is.
You think? See, I'm not that. I'm not going to.
Houston's more well-rounded.
Yeah,
than Jacksonville.
I'm not going to get bent out of shape for that one because Deshaun Watson, if he plays a whole year, Houston's a completely different team. But Jacksonville's defense, nothing to sneeze at.
But Jacksonville also lost two of their big receiver targets, and Hearns and Robinson. I don't care if they were both hurt, but still, that's a hard blow.
Okay. All right, AFC West.
This one's fun. Got Chargers.
Really?
Taking the Chargers.
I got the Chiefs.
I think Patrick Mahomes is going to throw 20 picks at least.
Really?
I think he's a gunslinger.
Even with the targets that he has.
He's a gunslinger. That makes it even harder.
No. Tyreek's going to find a hole. He's going to get wide open.
What
Kelsey's
targets? Hold on. Let me try to figure out what
Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt in the backfield. Come on, man. Come on.
It's a good offense. It's the second best one in the conference.
Behind who?
Behind Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the Chargers defense is far superior. And you know how many sacks the Chargers gave up last year? Only 18.
Okay.
Rivers was only sacked 18 times.
Okay.
So that's an impressive stat.
You put it in a shootout. You put the Chiefs' offense against the Chargers' offense in a shootout. The Chiefs win 9 times out of 10.
I don't believe.
The Chiefs aren't going to.
Kareem Hunt.
Defensively,
he was good for 5 games. That's where a bulk of his stats came from. It's the first 5 games.
I think that you'll be able to. He'll be more consistent.
So you compare Melvin Gordon to Kareem Hunt. Well, Melvin Gordon's been more consistent, but Kareem Hunt did lead the league in
Yeah.
rushing in a slow year. He had what?
No, come
He had
on,
what?
you
1,200
give
yards. 1,200 yards.
No,
What? What did he
he
have?
had like 1,800 yards.
Rushing yards?
Yeah,
No.
it wasn't 1,200. It was a
Let's
good
see.
chunk. It was a good chunk. I remember that. So yeah.
The Chargers' defense is better than the Chiefs' defense.
I don't.
And I think Philip Rivers is Rivers is ready to turn it around.
I think that's a fact that the Chargers defense is better. But I don't think the Chargers defense is better than the
yeah,
Chiefs offense.
Kareem Hunt had 1327 last
Okay.
year,
That must have been.
and that led the league. Well, let's not forget the days when Alfred Morris had 1,500 and no one knew.
So
So it was a slow year last year.
well,
Kareem Hunt just happened to benefit from
He
it.
still led the league.
Yeah, if Zeke would have played those 6 games.
Well, he didn't.
I'm just saying. I need to see more from Kareem Hunt. I need to actually see Patrick Mahomes play and not throw interceptions because he threw 2 picks in that game against Denver. In a scrub game, might I add.
Defensive starters were still in.
I just worry about the quarterback situation. Quarterback situation, defense, and whether Kareem Hunt's going to be consistent.
I think it'll be a smooth transition for Mahomes given the targets that he has. NFC East, who do you have?
I have Philadelphia.
Okay, yeah. I also have the Eagles. NFC North.
NFC North, got the Packers.
Oh
I'm holding out
my!
hope.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
You
How?
Why?
Like, why they didn't? Aaron Rodgers was out for 7-8
Their
games last
defense
year.
is crap. Absolute
Yeah,
crap.
and they were still in the playoffs up until the second
Did they make
to
the
last
playoffs
week. No,
last
they
year?
didn't. But
Okay.
even without Rodgers, they were still
Who made
on
it?
the
Who made it?
edge.
Who made it to the NFC Championship last year?
The Vikings, but let's not forget how on a fluke play.
Oh no,
fluke
that's
play.
still a win. That is still
It
a
is
win.
a win, but you can't. When it comes to making these predictions, you have to take that into account. It wasn't a blowout of the Saints; it was a lucky
No,
Hail Mary,
but they
and
still
then they
made
turn
it.
around and get blown out against
By
Philadelphia
the
when they-
eventual Super Bowl
with
champions.
There's no way you could have any more motivation than what Minnesota had heading into that game, coming off of an all-time game with a chance to go to the Super Bowl in your hometown, and they still got it.
No, against the eventual Super Bowl champions. Here's the thing: they got Kirk Cousins. He'll be reliable. He's not going to be a superstar, but he's going to get it done. Dalvin Cook comes back. Stephon Diggs is back. Adam Thielen is back. Their defense is still
Diggs and
there.
Thielen were there last year.
But did they have Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook?
Case Keenum wasn't terrible.
I'm not saying he was terrible. I'm just saying Kirk Cousins can get it done just like Keenum did. And they didn't have Dalvin Cook. And their defense is still there.
Yeah, I'm still going Packers.
No.
I think Aaron
No,
Rodgers
not
is
with
the
that
X
defense.
factor.
Not with that
they've
defense.
They've been going to the playoffs with just Aaron Rodgers for the last 5 years.
No,
outside of
their
last year.
defense was still decent at that time. Their defense is garbage now.
I have faith in my guy.
All right, NFC South.
I have the Falcons.
Right. Why do you have the Falcons?
Well, they add another target in Calvin Ridley to that already pretty good receiving crew of Mohamed Sanu and Julio Jones. Matt Ryan he's an MVP. That defense is not terrible with Vic Beasley back there and Adrian Claiborne. I don't know if Claiborne signed back.
I think he did.
But anyway, that Atlanta defense is not terrible, and that offense is incredible. Carolina, inconsistent. Do you know they never had back-to-back winning seasons with Cam Newton? This is a team that went 15-1.
I wouldn't say that that's necessarily Cam Newton's fault, but
I would say it is. He's an
look at
up-and-down
this,
player.
But look at this. I mean, come on. Full season, he's a good quarterback. Won't put all that blame on him.
But
Maybe it's because they don't know how to use what's his name.
Carolina has not had back-to-back winning seasons, and they had one last year. So, I mean, just go with the trend.
I have the Saints winning it. Defense is decent. Backfield is deadly, and you have Drew Brees.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying
Are
that's a
you
bad
not-
pick. I'm not
are
saying
you-
that's a bad pick.
you're not
They're
very
both playoff
Yeah.
teams. They're both probably going to be in the playoffs.
You're not passionate about the NFC South.
No, not to the same extent.
What about the NFC West?
No, Rams. Come on.
Rams. Yeah, it's the Rams. All right. Well, we're going to take another break. Coming up, we're going to have some WWE talk and then a special segment that does not include hot sauce this time, so that's good. But it will include something else that is uncomfortable. So we have some songs from AC/DC, Jeff Hardy, Akon, and Mark Cohn coming up. This is part 2 of the Penalty Box's F3 Summer Shows, and we will be back right after this.
I will delete you.
Delete! 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 All right, and welcome back, everyone, to part 2 of the Penalty Box's F3 Summer Shows. That was some of the greatest hits from AC/DC, Jeff Hardy, Akon, and Mark Cohn. Man, Walking to Memphis, that's just a good song. That version specifically is a good song.
I don't think anyone's ever made a song quite like that before.
I mean, if anybody tries to cover that song, it's just not going to work out. You know? I mean, it's just one of those songs. You know? That's the best version, the best pure version of that song.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't believe another one exists.
Yeah. All right, WWE Talk.
It's not a shot at anyone. By the way. Not anyone on this production team.
WWE Talk. That's right. We're wrestling fans up in here. What can explain WWE's booking slump and lowest ratings ever?
Well, there's 3 things that I've noticed. It's a jumbled mess right now. You have superstars who are going from show to show. You don't know. I mean, they kind of just started putting shows back together, like both brands back on one show. They didn't tell us really until the month before that they were going to do it. It just seems like they're stuck between doing the split brands and keeping them together as one. So that's one thing. It's hard to follow. You just don't know who's where. And another one, bland ends and feuds. It's the middle of the year. This is kind of where viewership starts to go down anyway. And I mean, they're just struggling to put together real juicy feuds. The last real good feud we had, I would say, was John Cena, Roman Reigns.
Yeah, probably.
That was
the one that really comes to mind.
That I would, like, I have to watch Raw this week to see what happens.
Well, yeah, in that case. I think kind of the Miz, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins thing that they had
before
WrestleMania, that was okay. I mean, it wasn't quite that good, but yeah, the booking's terrible. And the writing's just kind of like they got a book of cliches. What's some things that we've done over the past 5 years? Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just kind of a middle finger to the people watching, because it's like, okay, we've seen this before. You know we've seen this before, and still you're laying it on us. So what do you think can be done to fix it?
Well, first off, decide on how you're going to construct the roster. Come out and just commit to one side, whether you're going to bring everyone back together again or you're going to keep it split and make it known and make it so there's no confusion. Also, spice things up.
Yeah.
That can always be said, though. They just need to put a little more effort into the creation of these feuds.
Mm-hmm.
And also crown a new champion, maybe. Maybe having Brock Lesnar show up 6 times a year as champion isn't what the fans want.
It's rubbing people the wrong way at this
maybe
point.
It's not what we want.
Yeah.
So, crown a new champion. It's been long overdue. Jesus, he's been champion for a year and a half.
Yeah. I think an NXT call-up would probably work. I don't know who. Gargano, Aleister Black, Adam Cole. Adam Cole would be electrifying. His debut, I think that would kind of help, as long as you don't put him in some weak feud like they do at most NXT call-ups. Like with Cien Almas, what was the point of that Sin Cara feud? There's no point. Put him in a realistic feud. Like now he's feuding with Rusev. Okay, I can get behind that, but why Sin Cara? I haven't seen Sin Cara on WWE TV in like 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, so bring it, calling up NXT talent and then using them. Don't just, we have to see how they work. Well, you've seen them in developmental for how long? You know that they can work. So I think, and I have a list here of some wrestlers that really need to be at the very, very forefront of the company, that needs to be in championship contention. Finn Balor, Seth Rollins. I know he's in Intercontinental Championship contention, but I think he needs to be in Universal Championship contention. Elias, We both like Elias, so
Yeah.
that's pretty good. Jeff Hardy, especially I like the face paint in the context. I like what he's doing right now. And Daniel Bryan. I don't like that Daniel Bryan's not feuding for a title right now. I didn't like. I mean, the Team Hell No thing was okay. It lasted for a cup of coffee. You know, the feud with The Miz, okay, I get it. It would probably work a little bit better if Daniel Bryan or The Miz had a championship. Right now, it's just kind of like, okay. I mean, this is entertaining, but this is like second match of the pay-per-view where people are going to get more beer or something like that.
Yeah.
Unless you're like a die-hard Daniel Bryan fan. And tag teams.
Yeah.
Tag teams.
Yeah.
Where did they go?
That's true.
It's. I mean, SmackDown not as much because you have Sanity, you have the New Day, you have the Usos. I like the Usos. Bludgeon Brothers are okay. Who am I missing? Oh, the Bar. Ryan's suffering from a cold here, so he's blowing his nose real quick. The Bar. So having those 5 tag teams on SmackDown, not bad. You know, you can kind of circle things around there for a while until things kind of get old. But with Raw, the Raw tag team division is just crap. It's garbage. I mean, the Authors of Pain aren't the Authors of Pain like they were in NXT. The B team's fun, but it's, you know, you need somebody like the Leaders of Worlds. I can get. Like I'm a huge fan of Broken Matt Hardy, and I'm a huge fan of Bray Wyatt. Like that's okay, but they shouldn't be the one tag team in that division. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been saying that for like a year since they
once
broke up.
Yeah, all those tag teams broke up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like seeing some good tag team action, especially. You remember the Usos and the New Day in Hell in a Cell?
Yeah,
That was
a great feud.
That's probably the best tag team match that I've seen. I haven't, not that I've seen, but since then, that's the best one I've seen. Why is Roman Reigns getting his rematch with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam?
He's a guaranteed reaction. It kind of goes hand in hand with what we've been talking about. They don't have a lot of viewers. And so, I mean, this is going to turn a lot of people off. But in terms of actually being in the arena, he's going to get a reaction. He's going to get either really loud boos or really loud cheers. And that's kind of what they're looking for at this point, is just a little bit of life into the product. And, I mean, you could put Bobby Lashley there. He's not as electrifying. Seth Rollins is already in a feud. There's really just no one else to take down Brock. I mean, you have Braun, who's got the money in the bank, so you can't really put him in a match. Eventually, he's going to cash in, which is a very good chance that happens at SummerSlam. But Roman Reigns is going to get people out of the seats, and that's really the only reason I can really see behind this.
I think what they're doing in the grand scheme of things, whether they cash it in, whether Braun Strowman cashes it in at SummerSlam, that's going to get a big pop. Because fans don't like Roman Reigns and fans don't like Brock Lesnar. They don't want either of them to be champion. So you have somebody, basically a baby face of Raw, and Braun Strowman, even though he's supposed to be a heel, come out, cash in, win. It's going to get a huge reaction. The Universal Championship's going to look formidable again. And I think the same thing kind of applies, like if later on down the road he cashes in on Roman. I think it'll just kind of add to the cash in. Like, oh my God, Braun Strowman's cashing in on Roman Reigns, the big dog. What's happening? And then like the crowd's going to be like, oh my gosh, yes, yes. And then hopefully Braun Strowman will go on a huge title reign after that. But I think it's just to get the reaction later on down the road when Braun Strowman cashes in. Because the Alexa Bliss's cash in was pretty good. What other? Baron Corbin's was disappointing because they lost faith in him.
Dean Ambrose,
that was a good one. So I think they're just trying to make a nice, good, pure cash-in reaction, like because people just strongly dislike Roman Reigns, and when they hear the Braun Strowman's meaning he's going to cash in, it's going to get a huge reaction. So if that doesn't happen, could this year's SummerSlam possibly be the worst in history?
Well, all pay-per-views could be the worst in history.
But this, I mean, they were what, about 3 weeks away? Yeah, about 3 weeks. The feuds that are building right now, I mean, Rousey and Alexa Bliss, that's okay. But everything else is just kind of
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of hype so far. I mean, it just happens. It's just a dead part of the year. Can't get people hyped. Well, it'll turn around once we get closer to the Royal Rumble in WrestleMania season, of
But
course.
this is the biggest party of the year, Ryan, or of the
It's
summer.
the third best pay-per-view of the year.
Oh, yeah, I'd agree with that. But at SummerSlam, it's part of the Big Four.
No, it just hasn't been a good product over the last couple months.
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
No, I don't want to. I hope Vince McMahon's listening right now.
Yep.
Lines are just going crazy.
Yeah. Or celebs.
we have a special ringtone for him, too, when he calls.
No chance.
No chance. All right. Who do you think is the most underutilized wrestler in WWE?
I have 3. I have Ty Dillinger is my number 1.
Okay.
He's a fan favorite. He's a babyface. He's good in the ring. He's got a good gimmick. And I just overall think he's a really good guy for the ring. Yeah, we saw it when he was going against AJ and Baron, what kind of feud that could have been. I think I'd really like to see him up in the secondary titles, the US or IC on one of those shows. Second one is Cesaro.
Yeah, that's a good
Initially, the bar was a good idea. It had its run, but now it's over. And they're not getting any time on SmackDown. I mean, both of them are really good. Both of them could compete for probably the world title at this point. But Cesaro's the better out of the two. It's time he finally gets his chance to win in a singles title.
Sheamus had his moment in the sun.
Yeah, it's time for Cesaro to get his.
Even though that's probably not good for his Irish pale skin.
No, SPF 200.
For me, oh, wait, did you have one more?
I had Bobby Roode, too.
Bobby Roode.
Yeah.
Big fan of Bobby Roode. I have Finn Balor because he's just in these stupid feuds, these pointless feuds. Like the one with Baron Corbin right now, garbage. There's no point. There's no point in these feuds. He should be, I wouldn't say in a feud right now for the Universal title because it's just not believable him getting the win over Brock. But he should be in that conversation like, oh, what happens next when Roman wins at SummerSlam? Is it going to be Braun Strowman or is Finn Balor going to somehow get into this? But he's not in a conversation for any title. He hasn't been since WrestleMania. So I think, and he's just so talented. The fans love him. He's a great talent in the ring. He's a great guy. You don't have to hear him talk for more than 5 minutes to know that he is a genuinely good person and a good wrestler and a good person to get behind. And he's got that pedigree. The fact that he was dominant in New Japan, Prince Devitt, Bullet Club, all that stuff. So I think they're heavily, especially with the demon gimmick that he brings up every now and again. I don't think they're letting him use that enough either, because there's some good stuff that you could bring with that. So I have Finn Balor as my most underutilized wrestler. It's sad, really.
That was too easy to go with. I had to dive a little bit.
Yeah, okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Vinegar Trivia. I won't be guessing on questions about vinegar. That's something that people from Wyoming do. No, Ryan will be giving me 3 fair sports trivia questions that I should know. And if I get it wrong, I have to take a shot of Heinz all-natural distilled white vinegar. This is real. This ain't water.
We all know what vinegar is.
Yeah. Well, it looks like. See, I got my water bottle right here. So here, smell it. You can probably smell
No,
it.
I ain't smelling garbage right now.
All right, so I got the vinegar right here. I got the shot glass. My man, Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah, that's a nice picture, nice iconic picture of the Macho Man right there. So I got my shot glass.
That glass has never seen a speck of alcohol.
Well, no. Of course it has an officer. All right, so I got the vinegar.
Jeez.
I got the shot glass. It's time for Vinegar Trivia. 3 questions. If I get the question wrong, I have to take a shot.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. Question 1. This golfer's first name means victory.
This golfer's first name means victory. VJ.
Yes.
VJ
Singh. Yes.
Woo!
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. See, I thought that one might trip you up a little
I thought Rory, but I was like, wait, no, that doesn't make any sense.
bit. Yeah.
So I had to think of John Daly.
Yeah.
So VJ, all right. I'm spared of vinegar for at least for now.
Yep. All right. Question number 2. Who was the shortest player in NBA history? I need full name.
Full name. Crap. Was his nickname Bugs? Or Bug?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'm on the right track.
kind of. Yeah.
I don't know.
Muggsy Bogues.
Muggsy Bogues. All right. Well,
5'3".
At least it won't be. He was on Space Jam, right?
Yeah.
Okay. At least this won't be as bad as the hot sauce on last show.
Don't do too much. Jesus. It's a lot of sodium.
It's actually good for you. It helps with weight loss, which is even worse for me. I like my big beefy self.
Oh, my God. Okay. Take as many as you want, then. Take as many as you want.
Beefcake.
Don't let me hold you back.
All right.
Should have got a can.
A can?
A trash can.
No, it won't be that bad.
Not that bad?
Oh, it's like I'm swimming in Long John Silver's. Oh, that burns.
Jeez.
There we go. All right.
All right, 1 for 2.
There was one.
All right. For the third and final. The only coach to win a Rose Bowl and a Super Bowl.
Only coach to win a Rose Bowl and a Super Bowl. Pete Carroll.
Oh, well. Maybe I messed up. Because that does make sense.
He may not have won a Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I better fact check that one.
All right, we're going to fact check it real quick.
Because that wasn't the name that came up when I searched for the questions. Can you think of anyone else why?
Rose Bowl and a Super Bowl. Oh, crap. No, I can't think of anybody else besides Pete Carroll.
Yeah, Pete Carroll has done it.
All right.
Okay.
How about, shoot me another one, because that was, that wasn't a...
Can you name the other two?
No, I can't name the other two. That's not fair.
Okay, I'm going to have to look it up.
All right.
All right, so there are two other ones. Well, hold on. Oh, well, it says Pete Carroll. Yeah.
All right.
Dick Vermeil was the other one.
All right.
Yeah. Dick Vermeil. Let me find one more.
Okay, one more trivia question, because that one was just kind of... It was flawed. It was a flawed question. It was a nothings question.
That was a nothing sandwich.
All right, man, that vinegar burned a whole lot more than I thought it would.
Okay.
Did you find anything yet?
In 1999, two Major League greats made baseball history by becoming the first father-son duo to hit back-to-back homers in an MLB game. Can you name that father-son duo?
It was Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
All right, so I only had to take one shot. Fantastic. Yep. Fantastic. That's good. Good enough for TV, I say. So, all right, those were fair. Maybe
here's one more, double or nothing.
I don't want to take double or nothing.
Oh, okay, hold on. Then, God, there's 50 of them here.
Do you like watching me suffer, Ryan?
Oh, I got to do it for the viewers.
All right.
Oh, there's a Texas one. Okay, I want to just ask this one because it's really weird. Even I still don't fully understand it. In 1920, the University of Texas football players had their mascot at the annual sports banquet under less than ideal circumstances. What were those circumstances?
Or did they barbecue him?
They did. Poor Bevo was, in a sense, the guest of honor. He had been fattened up, slaughtered, and served as the main course at the banquet.
Poor Bevo.
Yeah, the university, it says, was short on cash, and shouldering the cost of tending to Bevo wasn't a top priority.
All right. Well, only had to take one vinegar shot. Thank God. I don't think I could have taken another one. All right. Well, that'll conclude part 2 of the Penalty Box's F3 summer shows. We will be back sometime later for part 3. Say your prayers, eat your vitamins, control the pet population, have your pet spayed or neutered. We'll see you next time.